systems with new digital platforms. And my group members are Adina Masood, Pankaja, Nihari Athroja, Shiri Sultana, and me, Kiran Imdad. Now let's start my presentation. So firstly, it contains table of contents which consists of legacy systems and its problems, then understanding the problem, which are deeply discussed further, then action taken on assignment one, that's remarks given by our tutor that further will show the working we do on it and the improvement we made within our presentation. Then literature review, then our methodology, and we'll also add the references at the end. So let's begin with the first slide, that is legacy system and their problems. So this slide explains what legacy system basically is and what its problems. So the first problems that we have mentioned in our presentation is the old software computer systems that are being replaced by advanced technology, as most legacy systems are not flexible enough to meet the needs of modern users. The second one is old programming languages like interpretability, vulnerable security. Okay, they cannot be customized easily, so that's also an issue. The third one is flexibility, customization for users, scalability problems when more users come. As when more users join, the system struggles to handle the load of the data. That's also the main issue. Then moving forward, um, next slide, please. Understanding the problem. So we have mentioned the problems. Let's start with the banking system. As 70% of the banks globally are still relying on legacy systems, the biggest risk is vulnerability. So the banks, as the banks still use legacy systems, this creates security risk. Even ATMs rely on old COBOL systems. Then health sectors, as over 60% of USA hospitals operate critical applications on legacy systems. Uh, as many hospitals still run critical systems on outdated, which means they run on outdated software, these old systems can fail and affect patient care. And next is uh, banking systems. Yeah, I've also mentioned its details and organizational problems. 60% of organizational using COBOL report that finding skilled developers is their biggest challenge. As companies struggle to find people who can work on old COBOL systems, the developers are just retiring, so they have to find those who can work on the older systems. Then financial problems, just 10 critical. Federal legacy systems cost almost $337 million annually to operate, consuming roughly 80% of other agencies. That's IT budget. So maintaining legacy system is very costly. They use a big part of the IT budget.
In assignment one, we got only one remark, and that was about the objectives. We were told that our research objectives were too broad and couldn't be completed in time. So we have now changed it and eliminated one aspect. Originally, we focused on technical, organizational, and strategic factors in the corporate sector. After receiving feedback, we refined our objectives. Now we focus specifically on managerial and strategic success factors, and our research aims to develop a cross-sector CSF framework. This makes our study more focused, specific, and researchable. Um, After that, the study highlights that emerging technologies improve innovation performance, while regional and gender factors influence outcomes. The research is limited by its sample size, reliance on self-reported data, and narrow scope of innovation types. Future work should include long longitudinal studies, broader sectional coverage, qualitative methods, and exploration of digital ecosystems, business model transformation, and generative AI. And this study shows that legacy systems create major socio-technical and interpretability challenges in European public administration, with organizational capacity strongly influencing transformation success. Its limitations include incomplete outcomes, reliance on qualitative data, and the lack of unified framework. The The authors recommend developing unified theories, conducting longitudinal and cross-country analysis, and increasing the use of quantitative methods. Thank you.
Hello, I am Shirin Sultana. I will discuss the rest of the literature review. This research mainly focuses on the technical aspects of integrating legacy systems with modern platforms. And the authors had a narrow technical focus. They discuss coding, architecture, and modernization tools, but they do not explore the managerial or strategic factors that also determine the success of legacy digital integration. Next slide. The next another study discusses the organizational issues around legacy modernization, such as resistance to change, lack of skilled staff, security vulnerabilities, and IT business misalignment. But this study is industry specific. They focus on healthcare, banking, and federal systems. Because of that, their findings are not generalizable across multiple sectors. Next slide. The next article emphasizes the importance of change management, communication, leadership support, and employee readiness in digital transformation. Although the study highlights the important factors, they do not offer a unified, structured, critical success factor framework that the organizations can practically apply for integrating legacy systems with new platforms. Next. Mm, Uh, Another study examined the modern approaches like microservices, clean architecture, and scalable transformation models. These sources offer strong technical insights, but they rely heavily on the theoretical models and lack empirical data, meaning they don't use large-scale surveys or multiple interviews from real organizations. After reviewing all this literature, we found several research gaps. Many studies only focused on the technical side of legacy system integration. Moreover, earlier studies discussed the different success factors separately, but they did not present a unified framework. Many studies relied on the theory. To overcome this, we include managerial and strategic factors, not just technical ones. This gives a much more complete picture of what actually leads to successful integration. We aim to develop a critical success factor framework which brings together all the important managerial, strategic, and integration related elements in one place. We'll use a mixed method approach where we conduct interviews and collect survey responses. This will give our research more depth and reliability. Now I will invite my next team member, Adina, to discuss our research methodology.
Hello everyone, my name is Atina Masood and I will be discussing the research methodology for this research. So it basically consists of 4 parts that include the research philosophy, research approach that we are using, the research methods, and sampling techniques. So the first thing that we will jump into is the research philosophy. We are using pragmatism as a research philosophy because as we are catering the real world problem that is with the legacy systems, so it really needed a philosophy that will focus on the practical consequences and effects of a problem. And that's why we are using pragmatism, because it focuses on the practical consequences of the objective or goal that we are focusing on. And because the ideas and beliefs are evaluated by their usefulness in the problem solving and real world scenario, because it sees reality as a constantly changing and evaluating um, entity based on human efforts and human interactions. That's why reality is not static, and that pragmatism allows us to change our strategies between the research as well. That's why we are sticking with pragmatism philosophy, because we don't have to say biased or non-biased and focus on one thing and not consider the other aspect, as because if we find during the research that another factor need to be addressed, then we can move to that as well. So as we're using this about the research philosophy, now the next thing is research approach. And the research approach that we are using aligns perfectly with the research philosophy. We are using the technique of mixed methods. That means that we will be using both qualitative and quantitative data for this research. The reason why I'm saying that research methods align perfectly with the pragmatism research philosophy is that by using qualitative and quantitative data, we can look at the problems, the strategies, and implementation more clearly. The pragmatism focuses on answering the real world problem and not just staying committed to a specific philosophy like the so the research methods will include quantitative methods and qualitative methods. That means in qualitative methods, we are going for semi-structured interviews. That means we will have some of the questions already set up that we are going to ask our sample audience, and some of the things will flow as the interview goes on, because that will help us cover the questions that we want to ask and also get us some insights about the experience of the people who have actually looked into the problem and solved the problem. And then the other thing will be quantitative methods. So as we're gathering the data from the interviews, we will then refine it into the questions, and we will use those questions in the survey to answer our research questions. So that means we're using the primary data because we will have our own survey and we will be gathering data on it. So the length that we have decided is 20 to 30 questions because we don't want the survey to be too long. So the survey ends up in like the chances that we call survey fatigue. That's why. So the next thing is sampling. So for qualitative methods, we are thinking about conducting 15 interviews as we will be looking at 3 focus groups. That means the managers who were leading the legacy system into the digitalization, the tech leads that were managing all the technical sides, and then the system owners that the legacy system actually belonged to a company and they want it to be changed. So we will look at all these factors. And for the quantitative methods, as we're using primary data, and our goal is to get like 300 responses, so we have a good amount of data, and the research conducted should actually be sufficient because we have to leave like 5% of inaccuracy rate. So 95% is our goal that our research is actually accurate. So even in the quantitative methods, our main goals are the managers, tech leads. We might include some tech developers as well who have been involved in building the legacy, building the new digital platforms of legacy systems, and the owners are how they're seeing the responses, how they're finding the new system and all. So that's it from my side, and here we have references included of the research that we have done, the literature review that we added, and that's it. Thank you so much.